I was standing in line at Target, mindlessly scrolling through my phone while waiting to buy laundry detergent, when a text from an unknown number appeared on my screen. Thought you should know what your wife's been up to. Below it was a photo that made my stomach drop like an anchor thrown overboard. My wife Emily was pressed against another man in what looked like a hotel room, her hands tangled in his hair, her blouse unbuttoned far enough to make the situation unmistakable. The timestamp on the photo showed it was taken yesterday afternoon, the same afternoon she'd told me she was having lunch with her college roommate. I dropped the detergent. The bottle hit the floor with a hollow thud that seemed to echo through my entire body. "Sir, you okay?" The cashier was looking at me with concern. I wasn't okay. I was 42 years old, married for 17 years, father to 2 kids, and apparently the last person in Portland to know that my marriage was a lie. My hands were shaking as I left the cart and walked out to my car. I sat in the driver's seat, staring at that photo until my eyes burned. The man in the picture was younger than me, maybe early 30s, athletic build, expensive-looking watch. His face was partially obscured, but I could see enough to know I'd never seen him before. I called Emily. It rang 4 times before going to voicemail. "Hey babe, what's up?" Her recorded voice sounded so normal, so innocent. I hung up and drove home in a daze, running red lights I didn't even see, my mind racing through every moment of the past few months. The late nights at work, the new lingerie I'd found in the laundry that she'd never worn around me. The way she'd started going to the gym 5 times a week when she'd barely exercised in years. The password she'd added to her phone 3 months ago, claiming it was for security. All those little red flags I'd ignored because I trusted her, because we had a good marriage. Or so I'd thought. I pulled into our driveway in the suburbs of Portland at 3:47 p.m. Emily's silver Lexus wasn't there yet. She usually got home around 5:30 on Wednesdays. Our kids, Jake and Melissa, wouldn't be back from school activities until after 6. I had time. I went straight to our bedroom and started searching. I'd never been that husband before, the one who snooped through his wife's things. But I also never thought I'd be the husband receiving anonymous photos of his wife with another man. Her laptop was in her nightstand drawer. I opened it, but of course it was password protected. I tried our anniversary date, the kids' birthdays, our old dog's name. Nothing worked. Then I remembered the home office. Emily had been spending more time in there lately, always closing the door, always saying she was catching up on work emails. She was a marketing director at a pharmaceutical company, so it hadn't seemed suspicious at the time. The office door was locked, which was new. We'd never locked interior doors in our house. I found the key on the top of the door frame. Emily had always been predictable about hiding spots. Inside, her desktop computer was still on, the screen dark but humming softly. I moved the mouse and the screen blazed to life, unlocked. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Her email was open in one tab. I clicked on it and started scrolling, looking for anything that might confirm what I already knew in my gut. I didn't have to look long. The emails went back 6 months. His name was Tyler Brennan, and he was a sales rep for a medical device company that did business with Emily's firm. Their early emails were professional, discussing product specifications and meeting times. Then, around 4 months ago, the tone shifted. "Can't stop thinking about our lunch meeting yesterday. When can I see you again? My hotel? Thursday at 2? I felt bile rising in my throat as I scrolled through months of messages. They'd been careful, no explicit details in writing, but the intent was crystal clear. There were references to hotels, to afternoons away, to a weekend trip to Seattle that Emily had told me was a work conference. I'd stayed home with the kids that weekend, proud of myself for being supportive of her career. I was such an idiot. I grabbed my phone and started taking pictures of the screen, documenting everything. Some rational part of my brain was already thinking ahead, already knowing that I'd need evidence. For what? I wasn't sure yet. Divorce? Confrontation? I just knew I needed proof that I wasn't losing my mind. That's when I heard the garage door opening. Emily was home early. I quickly closed the email and left everything exactly as I'd found it, slipping out of the office and locking the door behind me. I just replaced the key on the door frame when I heard her footsteps in the kitchen. "David, you home?" My wife's voice. The same voice that had said, "I do," 17 years ago. The same voice that had whispered, "I love you," 1,000 times. The same voice that had apparently been lying to me for 6 months. I took a deep breath and walked downstairs, my phone heavy in my pocket with the weight of all those screenshots. Emily was standing by the kitchen island, setting down her purse, looking absolutely normal. Beautiful, even. She'd lost weight recently, was wearing makeup more often, had gotten highlights in her dark brown hair last month. All for him, I realized. All for Tyler. I stood there in the kitchen, the weight of the phone in my pocket like evidence at a crime scene. Emily set her purse on the counter and turned to me with a smile that would have looked genuine yesterday. "You're home early," she said. "Slow day." The lie came easier than I expected. Thought I'd get some laundry done. She kicked off her heels and padded toward the refrigerator in her stockinged feet. "That's sweet. I'm exhausted. Think I'm coming down with something?" I watched her pull out a bottle of sparkling water, watched her throat as she drank. The same throat that had whispered things to Tyler Brennan in hotel rooms while I picked up our kids from soccer practice. "You should rest," I said. "Maybe take tomorrow off." She glanced at me, surprised. "Really? You never suggest I take sick days." "You work too hard." I moved toward the stairs, needing distance. "I'll handle dinner." "David?" Her voice stopped me. "Are you okay? You seem... just tired." I didn't turn around. "Going to change." In our bedroom, I sat on the edge of the bed we'd shared for 17 years and pulled out my phone. The screenshots were still there. The emails. The evidence. My hands were steadier than they should have been as I scrolled through them again, looking for something I'd missed. That's when I noticed it. In one of Tyler's emails from 2 weeks ago, "Can't wait to see you Thursday, noon at the usual place. I'll bring the good thermometer this time. Last one was garbage." Thermometer. I read it 3 times. The words didn't make sense in context. The email thread was about meeting for lunch, nothing about being sick, nothing medical. I went back through the other emails, searching for the word. Found it twice more. Once from Emily. "Forgot my thermometer today. Had to use yours. Mine's more accurate." And again from Tyler. "Your thermometer is definitely better. Mine always runs hot." It was code. Had to be. But for what? I opened a new browser on my phone and searched thermometer affair code. Nothing useful. Then I tried thermometer slang. Still nothing that fit. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Check her health apps. The same number that had sent the photo. I stared at it, my pulse quickening. Whoever this was, they knew more than they'd shown me. They were feeding me breadcrumbs. I went downstairs. Emily was on the couch in the living room, her own phone in her hands, typing rapidly. She looked up when I entered. "Feeling worse," she said. "I think I'll take that sick day tomorrow after all." "Good idea." I kept my voice neutral. "Want me to grab you anything?" "Just some water, thanks." In the kitchen, I filled a glass and watched her through the doorway. She'd gone back to her phone, smiling at something on the screen. Probably Tyler, probably making plans for her sick day. I brought her the water and headed back upstairs, claiming I needed to finish some work emails. In the bedroom, I pulled out my laptop and opened it. Emily's phone. I needed her phone. But she'd added a password 3 months ago. I'd tried her birthday, the kids' birthdays, our anniversary. Nothing worked. I'd given up, told myself it was about privacy, about boundaries. I was such an idiot. I sat there for 20 minutes, thinking. Then I heard the shower start downstairs. Emily always brought her phone into the bathroom, kept it on the counter while she showered. But she'd have to leave it outside if she was washing her hair. The steam fogged up the screen. I moved quietly down the stairs. The bathroom door was closed, water running. Her phone sat on the hallway table just outside, face down. My heart hammered as I picked it up. The screen lit up. Password required. 6 digits. I tried our anniversary again. Wrong. Jake's birthday. Wrong. One more failed attempt, and it might lock me out completely. Think. What changed 3 months ago? What was important enough to Tyler's birthday? I'd seen it in one of the emails, a message about planning something special. March 15th. 031523. The phone unlocked. I had maybe 5 minutes before she finished. My hands shook as I opened her apps, looking for anything health-related. There, a fitness tracker I didn't recognize. Health Sync Pro. I tapped it. The app opened to a dashboard showing today's stats. Steps, 4,047. Heart rate, average 72 BPM. But there was a spike on the graph, a sharp jump at 12:47 p.m. today. Her heart rate had hit 142 BPM and stayed elevated for 18 minutes. During her lunch meeting, I scrolled back through the history. Thursday of last week. Spike at noon, lasting 23 minutes. Peak heart rate, 156 BPM. The app had categorized it as exercise mode. Wednesday before that, spike at 1:15 p.m. Peak heart rate, 148 BPM. Exercise mode. I went back weeks. The pattern was consistent. Every time she'd told me she was at lunch, at the gym, at a late meeting, her heart rate told a different story. The water shut off. I fumbled with the phone, nearly dropping it. Found the settings menu. Bluetooth connections. There were 2 devices paired, Emily's watch and Tyler's health sync. They'd synced their fitness apps. They were tracking each other. And every time their heart rates spiked together, the apps recorded it. I heard the bathroom door handle turn. I set the phone back on the table, face down exactly as I'd found it, and moved quickly toward the stairs. Made it 3 steps up before Emily emerged in her bathrobe, hair wrapped in a towel. "Hey," she said, picking up her phone without looking at it. "Thought you were working." "Just grabbing my charger." I kept climbing, didn't look back. In the bedroom, I closed the door and leaned against it. My mind was racing. The thermometer references in the emails, they weren't talking about actual thermometers. They were talking about the app, about heart rate monitoring, about tracking their encounters. I'll bring the good thermometer this time. Tyler's fitness watch. Mine's more accurate. Emily comparing devices. Yours always runs hot. His heart rate spiked higher. They were quantifying their affair, tracking it like a workout, and they'd been careless enough to sync the data. I pulled out my phone and took screenshots of everything I could remember from her app. Then I texted the unknown number. Found it. What now? The response came immediately. Tomorrow when she calls in sick, she'll meet him at noon. Usual place is the Marriott on Peachtree. Room 847. He books it monthly. I stared at the text. Peachtree. We didn't have a peach tree in Portland. Then it hit me. We weren't in Portland. We'd never been in Portland. I'd been so focused on the evidence, on the betrayal, that I hadn't even questioned the setting my own mind had constructed. We lived in Atlanta. We'd always lived in Atlanta. The realization was disorienting, like waking from a dream. Our house was in Buckhead. Emily worked downtown. The Marriott on Peachtree was 15 minutes from her office. I sat down hard on the bed, trying to reconcile the false memory with reality. How had I? My phone buzzed again. You okay up there? Emily, texting me from downstairs. Fine, I typed back. Just tired. Come down when you're ready. I ordered Thai. I looked at the time. 6:47 p.m. In 13 hours, she'd call in sick. In 17 hours, she'd be at the Marriott with Tyler, their fitness app syncing, their heart rates climbing while I what? Confronted her? Followed her? Called a lawyer? The anonymous number texted again. You need proof of the act. Photos aren't enough in Georgia. You need her admission or you need to catch them. I typed back, who are you? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then, someone who knows what it's like. Get the proof tomorrow. Then decide. The conversation ended. I sat there holding my phone, thinking about thermometers and heart rates and 17 years of marriage. Thinking about Emily downstairs, probably texting Tyler right now, planning tomorrow's sick day. My phone buzzed. A text from Emily. Food's here. I stood up, pocketed my phone, and headed downstairs. Emily was setting out containers of pad thai and green curry, humming something under her breath. She looked up and smiled. You sure you're okay? She asked. You've been weird all evening. Just thinking about work, I said. Well, stop thinking. She handed me a plate. Eat. Relax. Tomorrow's Thursday. You've got that early meeting, right? Right. I hadn't had an early meeting scheduled. She was making sure I'd be gone when she left for the Marriott. We ate in silence, the television playing something neither of us watched. I thought about thermometers and fever and the way temperature spikes when you're sick, when you're fighting off infection, when you're caught. The rest of the evening crawled by like a wounded animal. Emily ate her Thai food curled up on the couch, scrolling through her phone with one hand while picking at Pad CU with the other. I sat in the armchair across from her, fork moving automatically from plate to mouth, tasting nothing. You okay? She asked around 8:30. You're quiet. Just tired, I said. Long day. She nodded, already looking back at her phone. I watched her thumbs move across the screen, wondered if she was texting him right now, making plans for tomorrow, making sure room 847 was still reserved, making sure I'd be safely out of the house by the time she called in sick. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I waited until Emily went upstairs to shower before I checked it. Tomorrow morning, act normal. Leave for your meeting at usual time. Park 3 blocks away and walk back. Enter through side gate. Code is still 2468. Wait in garage. You'll want to see what happens at 9 a.m. I read it 3 times. The side gate code was something we'd set up 2 years ago and never changed. Something only someone who knew our house would know. Who are you? I typed back. The response came immediately. Someone who's been where you are. Watch at 9 a.m. Don't interrupt. I deleted the messages and sat in the dark kitchen, listening to water run through the pipes overhead. Emily singing softly in the shower. Some pop song I didn't recognize. My hands were steady now. The shock had burned off hours ago, replaced by something colder. Something that felt like standing outside myself, watching David Bennett move through his collapsing life with mechanical precision. I thought about tomorrow, about what I was supposed to see at 9 a.m. The water shut off upstairs. I didn't sleep. Emily did, curled on her side facing away from me, breathing deep and even. I lay on my back staring at the ceiling fan, counting rotations, watching the digital clock on the nightstand tick forward. 11:47, 12:23, 1:56, 3:14. At 4:30, I gave up and went downstairs. The house felt different in the pre-dawn darkness. Unfamiliar, like I was seeing it for the first time. This place where I'd lived for 8 years, where my kids had learned to walk, where Emily and I had hosted Christmas dinners and birthday parties and anniversary celebrations. 17 years of marriage, 6 months of lies. I made coffee I didn't drink and watched the sky lighten through the kitchen window. Emily came down at 7:15, already dressed in yoga pants and a fitted t-shirt. Her gym clothes, She poured coffee and added cream, 2 sugars, exactly like always. How are you feeling? I asked. She pressed a hand to her forehead, winced. Not great. I think I'm coming down with something. You should probably stay home. Yeah? She sipped her coffee, not meeting my eyes. I was thinking the same thing. Is your meeting still at 9? 9:30, I said. Downtown. Probably won't be back until after lunch. Okay. She set down her mug. I'll probably just rest, maybe take some Tylenol and sleep it off. I nodded, took a drink of cold coffee. Want me to check your temperature before I go? Something flickered across her face, too quick to read. No, I'm fine. Just feel a little run down. You've been working too hard, I said. Probably. She picked up her phone, checked the screen. Put it down. You should get ready. Don't want to be late. I left at 8:50, backed the car out of the driveway while Emily waved from the front door, already holding her phone to her ear. Calling in sick, I realized, making it official. I drove 3 blocks south, parked on a side street behind a landscaping truck, and walked back. The morning air was thick and humid, typical Atlanta spring weather. Sweat stuck my shirt to my back by the time I reached our street. I cut through the Johnson's yard 2 houses down, came up along our fence line where the overgrown azaleas provided cover. The side gate code still worked. 2468. The latch clicked open and I slipped into our backyard, moved quickly to the garage side door. Inside, I stood in the dim space between Emily's Lexus and my workbench, breathing hard. The garage smelled like motor oil and grass clippings. Normal. Everything normal. I checked my phone. 8:58. At exactly 9 a.m., I heard a car pull into our driveway. I moved to the interior garage door, the one that led into the mudroom, and cracked it open an inch. Just enough to see through. A car door slammed. Footsteps on the driveway. Then the front door opening. Hey! Emily's voice, bright and eager. Nothing like the tired, sick tone from 20 minutes ago. Hey yourself. Male voice, younger, confident. Tyler. He was here. In my house. I watched through the crack as they moved past the mudroom into the kitchen. Emily wore different clothes now. The yoga pants gone, replaced by a short skirt and the white blouse I'd seen unbuttoned in that hotel photo. Her hair was down, makeup freshly applied. She'd gotten ready for him the moment I left. I have until 2, Tyler said. Told the office I had client meetings in Buckhead. David won't be back until after lunch. Emily's hand slid up his chest. We have time. They kissed in my kitchen against the island where Emily and I had eaten breakfast with our kids 1,000 times. His hands tangled in her hair. Her leg hooked around his. I stood frozen in the garage doorway, phone in my hand. Recording. I'd started recording without consciously deciding to. The camera captured everything through the narrow gap. Their bodies pressed together, Emily's head tilting back as Tyler kissed her neck, her fingers working at his belt. Bedroom? He murmured against her throat. Emily pulled back, took his hand. Come on. They disappeared toward the stairs. I waited until I heard footsteps overhead, then moved. The anonymous contact had told me to watch at 9 a.m. Had known Tyler would come here. Had known Emily would bring him into our house, into our bed, while I was supposed to be safely downtown in a meeting that didn't exist. Whoever they were, they'd given me exactly what I needed. I slipped back outside through the garage, closed the gate silently behind me, and walked to my car with the video file already uploading to 3 different cloud storage accounts. My phone buzzed as I reached the driver's seat. Did you see enough? Yes, I typed back. Good. Now go to CVS on Peachtree. Buy a digital thermometer, the kind that syncs to an app. Buy a box of laxative powder. Buy a cheap burner phone. Receipt and instructions coming. I sat in my car on a quiet residential street 3 blocks from my house where my wife was in bed with another man and waited for an anonymous stranger to tell me what to do next. The instructions came through 2 minutes later. Detailed. Specific. Exactly what to buy. Exactly what to do with it. I read them twice, then started the car and drove to CVS. The thermometer was $47.99. Digital, Bluetooth-enabled, syncs with iOS and Android health apps. I grabbed 2 boxes of laxative powder from the digestive health aisle. The burner phone was a prepaid flip model near the registers, $29.99 with an activation card. The cashier was maybe 19, disinterested. She rang up my items without looking at me. That'll be $118 or $63. I paid cash, took my bag and walked back to my car in the parking lot. My phone buzzed again. Park somewhere public. Coffee shop. Library. You need to be seen away from home. Stay until 1 p.m., then go back. Act normal. Tonight, follow the rest of the instructions. I drove to a Starbucks near Emory, ordered coffee I didn't want, and sat at a corner table with my laptop open and my purchases hidden in the bag at my feet. At 11:47, Emily texted, "Hope your meeting is going well." "I'm feeling better, just resting." At 12:23, she sent a photo of herself on the couch, looking pale and tired, thermometer in hand. 999.1 degrees. Nothing serious. I stared at the photo, at her performance of illness, at the careful staging. "Feel better," I typed back. Home around 1:30. At 1 p.m. exactly, I packed up and drove home. Emily's Lexus was alone in the driveway. Tyler's car long gone. I sat in my car outside the pharmacy, staring at the burner phone on the passenger seat. The dashboard clock read 8:47 p.m. Emily had texted my regular phone 20 minutes ago saying she was working late, wouldn't be home until 10. The same excuse she'd used last Tuesday. The same excuse that had covered a 2-hour session at the Marriott downtown. The burner buzzed. Go inside. Ask for the prescription under the name Michael Wright. Pay cash. Do not use your card. I grabbed the phone and got out. The fluorescent lights inside the pharmacy made everything look sterile and cold. A young pharmacist with tired eyes called me forward. "Picking up for Wright," I said. She typed on her keyboard, disappeared into the back, and returned with a small white bag. "That'll be $43. I handed her 2 20s and a 10. She gave me change and a receipt I immediately crumpled. Back in the car, I opened the bag. Inside was a prescription bottle labeled for Michael Wright. Metoclopramide, 10 milliliters tablets. The instructions said to take 1 tablet 3 times daily for nausea. The burner buzzed again. Good. Now go home. Emily will arrive at 10:15 p.m. She will go directly to shower. While she showers, you will prepare her bedtime tea. She drinks chamomile every night before bed. You know where she keeps it. I did know. Top shelf of the pantry, left side. Emily had been drinking chamomile tea before bed for the past 5 years. Part of her wellness routine that had expanded to include the gym, the supplements, the meditation app she never actually used. Crush 2 tablets of the metoclopramide into powder. Mix into her tea with honey. She will drink it. Do not drink any yourself. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. I'd crossed lines already, the recording, the surveillance, following the instructions of someone I didn't know. But this was different. This was putting something in her drink without her knowledge. The phone buzzed. You're hesitating. Don't. Metoclopramide is a nausea medication that also stimulates digestive motility. It will make her feel sick to her stomach. Not dangerous, not permanent. Just uncomfortable enough for what comes next. Tomorrow she has called in sick. You saw her email to her assistant. Flu day off. She has no flu. She has Tyler coming to your home at 11 a.m. while you're supposed to be at work. You will not be at work. You will be there. I pulled up Emily's email on my phone, the one I'd screenshotted from her computer. Sure enough, sent at 6:23 p.m. tonight. Hi, Jenna. I'm feeling really run down. Going to take a sick day tomorrow. Can you reschedule my 10 a.m. with the Baxter team? Thanks. No flu. No rundown. Just clearing her schedule for Tyler. The burner buzzed again. The thermometer you purchased has a companion app. Download it now. Create an account. The thermometer tracks temperature but also heart rate when held to the forehead for 10 seconds. Emily will use it tomorrow to check if she has a fever. She'll want documentation for her sick day story. I downloaded the app, created an account with a throwaway email. The interface was simple: a graph showing temperature readings, timestamps, and a secondary line for heart rate data. The thermometer uses Bluetooth. When she syncs it tomorrow, it will pair with her phone. But it will also pair with yours if you're in range. You'll see everything. More importantly, you'll see what I've already seen. My stomach dropped. What you've already seen? The response came immediately. Tyler has the same thermometer, same app. They've been syncing their devices for 2 months, sharing their temperature data. It's how they coordinate. It's also how they track their encounters. Look at the app settings. There's a Share Data with Partner feature. I navigated to the settings. There it was, an option to share health data with another user via Bluetooth pairing. A feature meant for couples to track family health together. Emily and Tyler had weaponized it into a coded communication system. Tomorrow, when Tyler arrives, Emily will take her temperature. Her heart rate will spike. It always does. The app will log it. It will sync to Tyler's device. You'll have proof not just that he was there, but what they were doing. The heart rate doesn't lie. I drove home on autopilot, my mind racing through the implications. The burner phone sat silent in my cup holder until I pulled into the garage. Emily's Lexus wasn't there yet. I had time. Inside, I set the white pharmacy bag on the kitchen counter and stared at it. The prescription bottle with someone else's name. The tablets that would make my wife of 17 years sick to her stomach. Not dangerous, the anonymous contact had said. Just uncomfortable. I thought about Tyler's hands on her in our bedroom, his voice in my house, the 6 months of lies. I opened the bottle and shook out 2 tablets. They were small, white, round. I placed them between 2 spoons and crushed them into fine powder, then swept the powder into a small dish. It looked like nothing. Like sugar. Like something that could disappear into tea and honey without a trace. The garage door rumbled open at 10:11 p.m. I swept the powder into my pocket, dropped the spoons into the dishwasher, and moved to the living room. Grabbed my laptop and opened it to a random work document. Normal. Everything normal. Emily came through the door looking exhausted. Real exhaustion or performed exhaustion. I couldn't tell anymore. Hey, she said, dropping her bag on the counter. God, what a day. Rough one? The Baxter presentation got moved up. Had to redo half the slides. She kicked off her heels. I'm taking a sick day tomorrow. I can feel myself getting run down. You do look tired, I said, and meant it. There were shadows under her eyes. Her makeup had worn off in patches. I'm going to shower and crash. She headed for the stairs, then paused. Did you eat? Grabbed something earlier. Okay, night. I listened to her footsteps on the stairs, the bedroom door closing, the shower starting. The water would run for exactly 12 minutes. Emily was nothing if not consistent in her routines. I went to the kitchen and filled the kettle, pulled down the chamomile tea from the top shelf. Got her favorite mug, the blue one with the chipped handle she refused to throw away. Added the tea bag, poured the boiling water, let it steep for exactly 3 minutes because that's how she liked it. The powder from my pocket dissolved instantly in the honey I stirred in. No residue, no trace, just chamomile tea, the way she drank it every night. I left it on her nightstand and went back downstairs. The shower shut off at 10:27 p.m. I heard her moving around the bedroom, the familiar sounds of her nighttime routine. Lotion. Hairdryer on low. The specific way she fluffed her pillows. At 10:35 p.m., I heard the bedside lamp click off. The burner phone buzzed in my pocket. Good. Now wait. The medication takes 30-45 minutes to work. She'll feel nauseous around 11:15 p.m. She won't vomit. The dose is too low. Just uncomfortable, queasy. She'll think she really is getting sick. It will reinforce her cover story for tomorrow. Set your alarm for 6 a.m. You need to leave for work at your normal time. 7:45 a.m. She needs to believe you're gone. Park 3 blocks away and walk back. Enter through the side gate. You know the code. Wait in the garage. Tyler will arrive at 11 a.m. Bring the thermometer. Bring your phone with the app installed. You'll need both. I sat in the dark living room, watching the clock. At 11:18 p.m., I heard Emily get up. The bathroom light clicked on, water running. She was in there for 6 minutes. When she came back out, I heard her get back into bed. The house settled into silence. My phone buzzed. My regular phone this time. A text from Emily. I think I'm actually getting sick. Stomach feels off. Good thing I already called out tomorrow. I typed back, get some rest, feel better. 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then, thanks. Love you. I stared at those 2 words until the screen went dark. The burner buzzed one more time. Tomorrow you'll understand everything. Tomorrow you'll see exactly who's been helping you. Tomorrow the temperature finally breaks. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator and the occasional creak of settling floorboards. I sat in the darkened living room, curtains drawn, watching the blue glow of my phone screen illuminate my face at 6:47 a.m. Emily was still asleep upstairs, the medication keeping her drowsy and compliant. My anonymous contact had sent another message at 6:15. Position camera in bedroom. Dresser angle, facing bed. She'll use the thermometer around 10:30 to prove she's sick. You'll want this recording. I stared at the words, my stomach churning. The small wireless camera sat on the coffee table in front of me. I'd ordered it 2 days ago on same-day delivery, following another cryptic instruction I'd received. At the time, I hadn't understood why I'd need video from our bedroom. Now I did. My hands were steady as I picked up the device. It was smaller than I'd expected, barely larger than a USB drive, with a magnetic base. The app on my phone showed the live feed, crystal clear even in low light. I climbed the stairs slowly, avoiding the 3rd step that always groaned. Our bedroom door was half open. Emily lay on her side, one arm draped across my empty pillow, her highlighted hair fanned across the pillowcase. She looked peaceful, innocent. The digital thermometer sat on her nightstand, right where she'd left it last night after taking her temperature. 99.1 degrees, elevated enough to seem concerning, low enough to be believable. She'd shown me the reading with worried eyes, her hand pressed to her forehead. I think I'm coming down with something, she'd said. I'd played my part perfectly. Concerned husband, fetching her tea, suggesting she call in sick if she felt worse in the morning. The dresser stood directly across from the bed, about 8 feet away. I positioned the camera behind a framed photo of our family vacation to Savannah 3 years ago, back when I'd believed we were happy. The lens had a clear view of the entire bed and both nightstands. I checked the app. Perfect angle. Emily stirred, rolling onto her back. I froze, but her eyes stayed closed. Her breathing remained deep and even. I left the room as quietly as I'd entered. By 9 a.m., I was supposedly at work. I'd left at my usual time, coffee travel mug in hand, briefcase over my shoulder. I'd even backed out of the driveway and driven down our street. Then I'd circled back, parking 3 blocks away behind a landscaping truck that provided cover. I walked through the green belt that connected to our backyard, letting myself in through the side gate with the code the anonymous contact had somehow known. 1973. Our wedding year. The irony wasn't lost on me. I settled into my home office, the room Emily thought was locked when I wasn't home. I'd never actually locked it. She'd just never tried the door when I was gone, assuming her privacy was protected by a mechanism that didn't exist. My laptop showed 4 camera feeds now. Living room, driveway, bedroom. And the new one I'd installed yesterday in the garage, angled to capture the interior door that led into the house. At 9:47, Emily appeared on the bedroom feed. She sat up slowly, pressing her hand to her forehead in a gesture that would have seemed genuine if I didn't know better. She reached for the thermometer. I watched her place it against her forehead, waiting for the beep. When she checked the reading, her face fell slightly. 98.4 degrees. Normal. She set it down, then picked up her phone. Her thumbs moved rapidly across the screen. Texting Tyler, I assumed. My own phone buzzed. She's problem-solving. Watch. Emily got out of bed, disappeared into the bathroom. I heard water running through my office wall. We shared plumbing. When she returned to the bedroom feed, she was holding a washcloth. She sat on the edge of the bed and pressed the washcloth against her forehead for a full 2 minutes. I realized it must be hot water, warming her skin. Then she picked up the thermometer again. This time, 99.8 degrees. She took a photo of the reading with her phone, then typed another message. Probably sending Tyler the proof that she was really sick, home alone, available. My anonymous contact had called it perfectly. Down to the half hour. At 10:15, Emily showered. I listened to the pipes, imagining her getting ready for him. When she emerged on the bedroom camera 20 minutes later, she wasn't dressed in sick day sweats. She wore the black lace set I'd found in her drawer, the one with the tags still attached that I'd never seen her wear. For me, anyway. She pulled on a silk robe over it, leaving it loosely tied. Her hair was styled, dried, and curled. She'd applied makeup, not heavy, but enough. The "I'm sick but still beautiful" look. My phone buzzed. Garage camera, 10:52. I switched feeds at 10:50, watching the empty garage. Our silver Lexus sat in its usual spot. Emily's bike hung on the wall. Storage boxes lined the shelves. At 10:52 exactly, the garage door began to rise. Tyler's black Audi pulled in slowly, cautiously. The garage door closed behind him immediately. Emily must have been watching, must have triggered it from the house the moment he arrived. Limiting exposure time. Minimizing risk of neighbor observation. Smart. Tyler got out of his car carrying a paper bag. I zoomed in digitally. The logo was from Sorrento's, the Italian place on Peachtree. He'd brought lunch. How thoughtful. The interior door opened. Emily stood there in her robe, and even through the camera I could see the smile that transformed her face. Not the smile she gave me anymore. Something brighter, younger. They didn't kiss in the garage. She stepped back, let him enter the house, and closed the door. I switched to the bedroom feed. They appeared within 30 seconds. Tyler set the food bag on the dresser, directly in front of my hidden camera. Emily was already untying her robe. "How are you feeling?" Tyler's voice came through clearly. The camera had audio. "Better now," Emily said. She let the robe fall. Tyler's hands went to her waist, pulling her close. "I like this. I thought you might." I should have looked away, should have stopped the recording, preserved some shred of my own dignity. But I couldn't. I watched my wife of 17 years kiss another man in our bedroom, watched her fingers work at his belt, watched them move toward our bed. The bed where we'd conceived Jake, where I'd held her through her father's death, where we'd made promises neither of us had apparently meant. My phone buzzed again. Keep recording. All of it. You'll need timestamps. And David, check the thermometer app on her phone at 11:30. The heart rate spike. That's your proof they're not just talking. I switched my attention to the laptop I'd cloned from Emily's phone 2 days ago. Her thermometer app was linked to her fitness tracker, the one she wore religiously. The app that Tyler's anonymous contact, whoever they were, had told me about. At 11:33, Emily's heart rate spiked to 142 beats per minute. At 11:34, it hit 156. The app classified it as vigorous exercise. I took screenshots of everything. The heart rate graph, the timestamp, the bedroom video feed showing exactly what kind of exercise was generating those numbers. They finished at 11:47. I watched them lie together in my bed, Tyler's arm around Emily's shoulders, her head on his chest. Intimate, comfortable, familiar. This wasn't new for them. "When can you get away for a whole weekend?" Tyler asked. "I'm working on it. Maybe I can tell David there's a conference in Charleston next month." "Charleston sounds perfect." They talked for another 20 minutes. About their plans, about how careful they needed to be, about how David, I, was completely clueless and never paid attention anyway. At 12:15, Tyler's phone rang. He checked it, frowned. "I need to take this work thing." He stepped out of frame. I heard his voice from another room, probably the hallway. Professional tone, discussing delivery schedules and contract terms. Emily picked up her own phone. I watched her open the thermometer app, check her heart rate history. She smiled at the screen, then took a screenshot. She sent it to someone. My cloned version of her phone showed me the recipient, Tyler. The message, "See what you do to me?" His response came a minute later. "I love seeing proof." Proof. The word echoed in my mind. They were creating their own documentation, their own evidence of the affair. Bragging to each other about the physical intensity, the risk, the deception. They had no idea I was collecting the same proof for a very different purpose. Tyler returned to the bedroom at 12:30. They dressed slowly, casually, like a married couple comfortable in their routine. He kissed her goodbye at the garage door. I watched on that feed as he climbed into his Audi, as the garage door rose and he backed out into the bright Atlanta afternoon. Emily stood in the doorway watching him leave, her hand raised in a small wave. Then she closed the door, and her smile disappeared. She walked back through the house, and I tracked her on various cameras. In the bedroom, she stripped the sheets, bundled them into the washing machine, covered her tracks. Then she returned to bed in fresh linens, pulled on actual pajamas, and positioned herself like someone who'd spent the day sleeping off illness. At 1:15, she took her temperature again. 98.6 degrees. Normal. She texted me. "Feeling a bit better. Slept most of the day. Might try some soup later." I responded from my office. "Glad you're resting. I'll pick up dinner on the way home. Love you." Her response. "Love you too." My hands were shaking as I typed those words, as I watched her type hers. My anonymous contact sent one final message. "Now you see. Now you understand. Tomorrow, we finish this." The anonymous contact's message arrived at 6:47 a.m., while Emily was still asleep upstairs. "Today's the day. She called in sick again. Flu relapse. Tyler arrives at 10:15. Let her take her temperature first. You'll see something interesting." I sat at the kitchen table, coffee untouched, watching the ceiling above me, listening for movement. Emily had mentioned feeling off last night, setting up today's performance. The same script as before, but this time I knew every line. My phone buzzed again. Check the thermometer app on her phone. The Bluetooth sync. You'll want screenshots. I'd given Emily her phone back 2 days ago, after copying everything. She thought she'd been careful, deleting messages, clearing histories. She didn't know about the backup running to my laptop every 6 hours. Didn't know about the monitoring software my anonymous friend had walked me through installing. The thermometer sat on Emily's nightstand, a fancy digital model she'd bought 3 months ago. More accurate than the old one, she'd said. I'd thought it was just another health kick purchase, like the gym membership and the meal prep containers. Now I understood. At 8:30, I heard the shower start. Emily was beginning her routine, the one that ended with her in our bed with Tyler Brennan while I was supposedly at the office. I texted my boss. Family emergency, taking personal day. The response came immediately. No problem. Hope everything's okay. Everything was not okay, but it would be. Emily came downstairs at 9:15, wrapped in her robe, hair damp. She looked genuinely tired. The anti-nausea medication I'd given her before had probably disrupted her sleep. Good. Morning, she said, her voice slightly hoarse. I think I'm getting sick again. Again? I kept my tone concerned, caring. The same voice I'd used for 17 years. You just got over it. I know. She pressed her hand to her forehead. I feel warm. Achy. Did you take your temperature? Not yet. She moved toward the stairs. I'm going to lie down. I already emailed work. I bet she had. I waited until she was back in the bedroom, then pulled up the monitoring app on my phone. The software my contact had provided gave me access to everything on Emily's device, including the thermometer's companion app. At 9:47, I watched her take her temperature. The reading popped up on my screen simultaneously. 98.9 degrees. Perfectly normal. But on her phone, the app displayed something different. I watched through the monitoring software as she looked at her screen. 100.4 degrees. The thermometer was rigged. Modified. Showing her a fever that didn't exist. My phone buzzed. See it? Tyler modified the thermometer firmware 3 weeks ago. Medical device sales rep, remember? He knows his way around these things. They needed her sick to sync their schedules. I stared at the message. Tyler had hacked a thermometer to help facilitate their affair, to give Emily cover for staying home, to create their window. Another message. But here's the beautiful part. Check the heart rate function. The thermometer had a built-in heart rate monitor. You could hold your finger to a sensor and it would measure your pulse. The data synced to the app automatically. I scrolled through Emily's app history. Days and days of readings. Most normal, routine. But on certain dates, the dates I knew Tyler had been here, the heart rate data showed something else entirely. Spikes. Sustained elevated heart rates. Patterns that matched exactly what you'd expect from physical exertion. From sex. And the timestamps matched perfectly with the video footage from my hidden cameras. Now check Tyler's fitness app. They're paired via Bluetooth. My contact sent me login credentials. How they had Tyler's information I didn't want to know. I logged into Tyler's fitness tracker account and nearly dropped my phone. The same data. The exact same heart rate spikes, at the exact same times, synced between their devices. His fitness watch and her thermometer, connected via Bluetooth, recording their encounters like some sick digital diary. They'd been tracking their affair, quantifying it, turning betrayal into data points. My hands shook as I took screenshots. Everything. Every spike, every sync, every piece of evidence. At 10:12, the gate alert chimed on my phone. Tyler's BMW, right on schedule. I was in the home office, the room Emily thought was locked, the room where I'd been spending my work days for the past week. The cameras showed everything. Tyler parking in the garage. Emily meeting him at the door, already out of her robe, wearing the black lingerie I'd found in her drawer. The thermometer sat on the nightstand, its Bluetooth light blinking softly. Recording. Syncing. Documenting. I watched my wife kiss another man in our bedroom. Watched her pull him toward our bed. Watched the beginning of what I'd seen before. But this time, I wasn't just watching. I pulled up the thermometer app on my laptop, the manufacturer's back-end portal my contact had given me access to. With the right credentials, you could control any device remotely. Adjust settings, modify readings, change the data. At 10:47, while Emily and Tyler were otherwise occupied, I accessed her thermometer's settings. The device had a fever alert function. If your temperature spiked above 102 degrees Celsius, it would sound an alarm and flash red lights. I set the threshold to 99.0 degrees Celsius. Then I triggered a manual reading. The thermometer on the nightstand erupted in beeps and red flashing lights. I watched through the camera as Emily and Tyler jerked apart, startled. Emily grabbed the device, confusion crossing her face. "What the hell?" Tyler's voice came through clearly on the audio feed. "I don't know, it's..." Emily stared at the reading. "It says 103.2. That can't be right." I triggered another reading. 103.8 degrees. "Jesus, Em, you're burning up." Tyler was already pulling away, reaching for his clothes. "You should go to the hospital." "No, I'm fine, I feel..." Another beep. 104.1 degrees. I watched Tyler dress faster. Watched concern replace desire on his face. Watched him become less lover, more concerned citizen. "I'm serious. That's dangerous. You need to..." "It's broken," Emily said, but her voice wavered. "It has to be broken." I sent one more reading, 105.3 degrees so. Tyler was fully dressed now, backing toward the door. "I should go. You should call your doctor. Or David." The name hung in the air between them. David. Me. The husband. The obstacle. The fool. "Wait," Emily started, but Tyler was already moving. "Text me when you're okay," he said. And then he was gone. I watched Emily sit on the edge of the bed, naked, holding the thermometer like it had betrayed her. She took her temperature manually with the old mercury thermometer from the bathroom cabinet. 98.6 degrees. Normal. She stared at the digital thermometer, then at her phone, where the app still showed 105.3 degrees Celsius. I watched her open her messages with Tyler. Watched her type. "Thermometer malfunction. I'm fine." His response took 3 minutes. "Maybe take a real sick day. That was weird." She tried calling. He didn't answer. At 11:30, I came out of the office. Emily was back in her robe, sitting on the couch, the thermometer on the coffee table in front of her. "Hey," I said, keeping my voice light. "How are you feeling?" "Weird." She looked up at me, and I saw something in her eyes. Fear, maybe, or suspicion. "My thermometer went crazy, said I had a 105-degree fever." "That's not good." I sat down next to her, picked up the device. "Did you take it again?" "With the old one, I'm fine. Normal temp." I turned the digital thermometer over in my hands. "Probably just a malfunction. These things happen with electronics." "Yeah." But she didn't sound convinced. I held the thermometer up to the light, examining it like I was looking for obvious damage. What I was really doing was giving her a show. "You know, there's something weird here. See this mark?" I pointed to a tiny scuff on the casing, probably from normal wear, but in context, it looked suspicious. "What about it?" "Looks like someone opened it. See how the seal's broken here?" I was making it up, but she didn't know that. Someone with the right tools could modify these things, change the firmware. Emily went very still. "Why would someone do that?" "I don't know." I met her eyes. "Why would someone need a thermometer to show a fever that isn't there?" The color drained from her face. "David." "Or maybe," I continued, my voice still calm, still reasonable. Someone would want to track heart rate data, sync it with another device, create a record of activities. Her hand went to her phone instinctively, protectively. I'm going to ask you something, Emily, and I want you to think very carefully before you answer. I set the thermometer down between us. Who else has had access to this device? She opened her mouth, closed it. I watched her calculate, trying to figure out what I knew, what I discovered, how much trouble she was in. Because the thing about Bluetooth devices, I said, pulling out my phone, is that they keep logs, connection histories, and this thermometer has been paired with another device, a fitness tracker, one that doesn't belong to either of us. I showed her the screenshot. Tyler's fitness app, the synced data, the matching heart rate spikes. Emily's face crumbled. David, please, I can explain. Can you? I stood up. Can you explain why your lover modified medical equipment to help you fake sick days? Can you explain the heart rate data from our bedroom? Can you explain any of this? How did you? She stopped herself, but too late. How did I find out? I smiled, and it felt like glass in my mouth. Let's just say someone wanted me to know. Someone who understands technology better than you thought. I walked toward the stairs, leaving her on the couch, the evidence scattered around her like shrapnel. We're not done, I said. But right now, I need you to know something. Every lie you've told, every sick day you've faked, every time you've synced your heart rate with his, I have proof, all of it. David, please. The fever's about to break, Emily, and when it does, I want the truth, all of it. I left her there and went back to the office where my anonymous contact was waiting with the next move. Good. Now for the final piece. Check your email. The email contained a single attachment, a PDF document titled Complete Evidence Package, Bennett vs. Bennett. I opened it. 247 pages. Screenshots of every email between Emily and Tyler. Bank statements showing hotel charges on days she'd claimed to be at work conferences. GPS data from her car showing repeated trips to the Marriott on Peachtree. The modified thermometer's connection logs. Heart rate data synced between their devices. Video timestamps from the bedroom camera. Photos of Tyler's car in our garage on 3 separate occasions. And at the very end, a single sentence. You're welcome. Amanda Brennan. I stared at the name. Brennan. Tyler's wife. My anonymous contact wasn't some stranger. It was the other person Tyler had betrayed. The other spouse left in the dark while our partners tracked their affair with fitness apps and modified thermometers. My phone buzzed one final time. I found out 6 months ago, hired a private investigator, got everything. But in Georgia, you need proof of adultery for an at-fault divorce. I needed him caught in the act. You needed the same for Emily, so I gave you the tools. Now we both have what we need. My lawyer files tomorrow. Yours should too. Tyler's going to lose everything. So is Emily. They thought they were so clever with their technology. They documented their own destruction. The fever breaks for all of us now. I sat there for a long time, looking at those words. Then I forwarded the entire package to the divorce attorney I'd consulted 3 days ago. Downstairs, I found Emily exactly where I'd left her, still holding her phone, tears streaming down her face. How long have you known? She whispered. Long enough. David, I never meant. Don't. I held up my hand. I don't want to hear about what you meant or didn't mean. I want you to pack a bag. I want you to leave. Tonight. The kids are at your mother's until Sunday. I made sure of that. I'd sent them there 2 days ago, telling Emily's mom that we needed a weekend alone to reconnect. The irony was almost funny. You can tell them whatever you want, but you're not staying here. This is my house too. Actually, it's not. Not anymore. I pulled out another document, one my attorney had prepared yesterday. Temporary restraining order. You have 2 hours to get your essentials. Everything else can be sorted through lawyers. Her face went white. You can't. I can. I did. And Emily? I looked at her, really looked at her, maybe for the first time in months. Tyler's wife knows everything too. She's the one who helped me find out. So whatever future you thought you had with him, it's over. His marriage is done. His career is probably done. Modifying medical devices for an affair isn't going to look good to his employer. And ours is definitely done. I walked to the door, then turned back. You wanted to know how I found out? You and Tyler got so caught up in tracking your affair, in quantifying every encounter, in creating your little digital diary of betrayal. You never thought about who else might be watching the data. His wife was smarter than both of you. And she was angrier. Emily's hand went to her mouth. The thermometer, the apps, the synced heart rates. All of it was evidence you created yourselves. You documented everything, made it easy. I opened the door. 2 hours, Emily, then I'm changing the locks. She left at 8:47 p.m. with 2 suitcases and her laptop. I watched from the window as she loaded her car, her movements mechanical, defeated. She tried calling Tyler 6 times from the driveway. He didn't answer. He was probably dealing with his own collapsing world. My phone buzzed. A text from Amanda Brennan, my partner in this strange, necessary deception. My attorney filed an hour ago. Tyler's been served. How are you holding up? I typed back, filed mine too. Emily just left. How are you holding up? Better than I expected. Turns out revenge is excellent medicine. Is that what this was? Revenge? The response took a minute. No, it was justice. They took our trust and turned it into data points. We took their data and turned it into evidence. Fair trade. I looked around the empty house. 17 years of marriage reduced to legal documents and heart rate graphs. 2 kids who would grow up in a broken home. A life that would never be the same. But also, freedom from lies. Freedom from being the fool. Freedom from wondering if the woman sleeping next to me was dreaming about someone else. Fair trade, I typed back. The divorce took 8 months. Emily fought it at first, tried to claim the evidence was obtained illegally, tried to argue that I'd violated her privacy. But Georgia law was clear. Adultery was grounds for at-fault divorce, and the evidence she and Tyler had created themselves, was admissible. Tyler lost his job when his employer discovered he'd modified medical devices for personal use. His divorce cost him half his assets and full custody of his 2 daughters. Last I heard, he was selling insurance in Macon. Emily kept her job but lost the house, most of our savings, and primary custody of Jake and Melissa. The kids stayed with me during the week, visited her on weekends. They adjusted better than I expected. Kids are resilient like that. Amanda Brennan and I met for coffee once, about 6 months after everything fell apart. We sat in a Starbucks in Buckhead, 2 strangers bound by the unique experience of weaponizing our spouse's affair against them. Do you regret it? She asked. The way we did it? I thought about that. About the cameras and the modified thermometer readings and the elaborate setup. About becoming someone who spied and schemed instead of just confronting the problem directly. No, I said finally. They made their choices. We just made sure there were consequences. My therapist says I have trust issues now. Amanda smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I told her that's called pattern recognition. We never spoke again after that coffee. Didn't need to. We'd served our purpose in each other's lives. 2 people who'd been betrayed, who'd found each other in the wreckage, who'd built a lifeboat out of data logs and Bluetooth connections. I'm 51 now. The kids are in college. I've been dating someone for about a year, a woman named Rachel who teaches high school English and has never heard of fitness tracking apps. We take things slow. I'm better at noticing red flags now, better at asking questions. Sometimes I think about that thermometer, sitting in an evidence box in my attorney's storage unit. A modified medical device that was supposed to help two people hide their affair, but instead documented it with digital precision. Technology meant to bring people together, perverted into a tool for deception, then turned back into evidence of the same. There's probably a lesson in there about how we use the tools we're given, about how the same technology that can connect us can also expose us, about how nothing digital ever really disappears, and every data point tells a story if you know how to read it. But the real lesson, the one that took me years to understand, is simpler. Trust isn't about never verifying. It's about what you do when the verification fails. Emily and Tyler chose to document their betrayal, to quantify it, to turn it into something they could track and measure and share. They thought they were being clever, creating a private language of thermometers and heart rates that no one else would understand. They were wrong. In the end, the fever broke for all of us. Emily found someone new, another marketing executive who probably doesn't know about the thermometer. Tyler rebuilt his life in Macon. Amanda moved to Charleston and started over. And I learned that sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It just gives you better information for making decisions. The kids ask sometimes why their mother and I split up. I tell them people grow apart. I tell them love isn't always enough. I don't tell them about the modified thermometer or the synced heart rates or the anonymous texts that changed everything. They don't need to know that their mother's betrayal was documented with the same precision she used for her marketing reports. They don't need to know that their father became someone who planted cameras and monitored apps and accepted help from a stranger who turned out to be a fellow victim. What they need to know is that I'm here, that I chose them over bitterness, that when the temperature finally broke and the fever cleared, I was still standing. That's enough. The thermometer is still in that evidence box, its Bluetooth light long since dark, its modified firmware, a relic of someone else's poor choices. Sometimes I think about having it destroyed. Other times I think about keeping it as a reminder that the truth always has a temperature. And eventually, no matter how carefully you try to control the reading, the real numbers always come through.